Credentials, that little piece of plastic on a lanyard that somehow transforms a regular civilian into an authorized media professional. It's the magical pass that lets you cross the barrier into the land of real photographers and tells the security guard, yes, I am allowed to be here. No, I'm not trying to steal a football. Today, we're diving into how to get one of these precious items, or more accurately, how to try to get one of these without selling a kidney or starting a fake newspaper, the Daily Dog Athletic. Let's start with the basics. A credential is an official authorization, a golden ticket, a VIP wristband for people who want to get closer to the action and to the mud. In sports photography, that gets you into the press area, and for photographers specifically, pitch side. It also increases your chance of getting hit by a stray ball by about 700%. Without a credential, you're just someone with a very expensive lens and camera behind the fence. It depends on the event, but usually it's one of these: clubs, federations, leagues, and a third-party PR or media organization. So this means that there's always somebody that you can send an email to, and almost always someone who will ignore you. But with luck and a decent portfolio, and maybe if you know the cousin of the communication director, you'll get through eventually. Before you ask for a credential though, you have to be able to prove that you know what you're doing. So if you don't have a portfolio and you're just starting out, this should be your #1 priority. Forget the rest, you need to get a portfolio. So where do you begin? Like everybody else, at the bottom. Start with the local leagues, amateur leagues, and eventually you start building up. You build your portfolio, you grow, you meet people who will be connections that might open doors to other events, and so on and so forth. Nobody starts one day and the next day they're shooting a Champions League match. Never. So you need to work your way up, and yes, some people will get to the top faster than others, but everybody starts at the bottom. So remember, a portfolio is incredibly important when you're asking for credentials, because you need to be able to showcase, visually speaking, that you know what you're doing. Now that you have a halfway decent portfolio, it's time to request a credential. So how do you do that? That could be in the form of an email. It could be sending a web form through the club's website, contacting them through social media, a message in a bottle, a message through a pigeon, smoke signals, whatever works. Here's what you should include in your message. #1, who you are. #2, who do you shoot for? Are you freelance? Are you shooting for a blog, for a newspaper, for a website, etc.? Provide links to your work, whether that's your social media pages or your own website. Obviously, which game you plan on shooting. And most importantly, that you won't get in the way. Phrases to avoid: photography is my passion. My lens is the extension of my spirit. I bought a Canon R3 and I need to justify the purchase. If you're not affiliated with a media outlet, it is harder, I'm not going to lie, but don't give up just yet. You can look for some blogs, for example. You can look for regional papers, some sports sites, for example. Maybe none of these will pay you, but they can get you through the door. And that is the most difficult part, is getting the access. Once you're in, then you keep building on it. And again, your portfolio will continue to grow as well for next time. One thing you should not do though is lie. It's okay to be freelance, it's okay to be starting out, but to say something you're not, that's not cool at all, and that might bite you in the rear in the future. So everybody, remember, starts at the bottom, they work their way up, but don't lie when you're applying for credentials. And if everything else fails, start a YouTube channel and make videos that talk about the whole process, like this one. Getting credentials is like scoring a bicycle kick goal. It looks easy when others do it in real life, but when you try it, you're just gonna fall. It takes patience, persistence, and the ability to look like you belong while you're waiting at the gate, pretending to know what you're doing. But when it works, it's worth it. You're pitch side, you're in the game, and you can finally post pictures with captions like exclusive coverage of that game. And to wrap things up, as I already foresee some possible questions in this video, how do you get into the GAA? How do you get to the League of Ireland? How do you get to the Champions League, etc.? Listen, it depends from country to country, from game to game, from association to association. It is completely different at all different levels of each game and each region. There's no one answer fits all. You need to do your search. Google is your friend to understand what is required to get into the event that you need to get. One important thing to also mention is that there might be some extra requirements for certain events. For example, here in Ireland, it's very common that you need to have Garda vetting. Other leagues will require you to have photography insurance. Big tournaments like the Euro or the World Cup might require you to have a police background check. And last but not least, obviously, you might need to have a press card. And to wrap things up, one final piece of advice, especially if you're just starting out, is get used to hearing the word no. Okay? That is very common when you're starting out. You're going to be rejected over and over and over again until you finally hear that first yes. But don't lose motivation when you hear no. At the start, that's incredibly common. Still, be gracious when they reject you and thank them for the opportunity, even though you didn't get into the event, okay? In the future, things will turn around. But at the start, it is very, very common to get rejected. It is better, in my opinion, to get rejected than to be ignored, because that also happens, and it drives me absolutely insane. You send emails, you send messages through social media, whatever it is, and sometimes it's just silence. But that's not on you, that's on the person or the association, whatever it might be that you're contacting. That's on them, okay? If you hear the word no, just be gracious and move on. Other opportunities will come. So have you ever gotten a credential, or are you still stuck in the Sunday League? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Until next time, take it easy, guys. Stay safe.